Yeah, I'm Caiti Waks for anyone that I haven't met before. I'm the co-founder of Debris Free Oceans, and I'm really excited to explain this pilot we did in fall of 2023. It was an open loop, reusable to go container pilot in Coconut Grove. The intention of this is just kind of let you know what we did. Honestly, it was a very Hail Mary experience. Like, we had the opportunity rise and we were like, let's go for it. Let's just see what this process looks like and how it runs so that we can get feedback and information. So just going to share that with you guys. And the idea is that, if you have any thoughts or ideas or comments on how we can make something like this a reality, that would be great. So just to start off, I'll give a little background. Open loop versus closed loop reusable systems. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with the difference, but basically a closed loop system is going to be a system that you implement in some type of controlled population in like a contained environment. So like a music festival that has reusable cups, a stadium that all has reusable cups, a university that has reusable containers for their food, a conference center, things like that. Large spaces where things are relatively contained. An open looped reusable system is going to be what we did in this pilot, where it's kind of an unrestricted population in an unrestricted jurisdiction. So, walking into your local coffee shop, walking into a restaurant, anyone can go in there, anyone can get something, they can take that to go container back with them anywhere they please. So it's not as restricted. So we did this reuse pilot in Coconut Grove. How we did it, we partnered with the Coconut Grove Business Improvement District. At the time, there was a company called Bekko Box, which was a reusable to-go container company. We partnered with them, and we recruited businesses to the program basically by hosting a cleanup at Peacock Park. We marketed the cleanup to local businesses. We had a few businesses come out, get interested. Bekko Box was there to talk about their product and what the services they offered. And then we ended up getting businesses to sign on. And for 2 weeks, we ran a program which had kind of a consumer incentive and a business incentive for people to participate in the reusable to go where initiative. So on the consumer side, we gave a $50 gift card to each consumer who purchased a meal in a reusable to go container and then returned that container. This was sponsored by the Coconut Grove Business Improvement District, which I think was a really good model because business improvement districts, their mission is basically to pump business to and funding into their businesses. So this was a great partnership way to do that, where they're giving money back to their businesses and bringing new customers to their businesses. So it was a good sponsorship opportunity for them and a win for us as well. And then the business incentive, there was a maximum of 10 consumers could go to each business. So each business essentially was going to get 10 gift certificates to their restaurant, which would essentially total into like a $500 grant, so to speak, for each business that participated. And then they also had the initial meal that was purchased from the consumer, and then potential new consumers coming in the door to participate in social media exposure. So we ended up with 7 participating businesses: Locale, Last Carrot, Juice Sense, Harry's, Chugs, Minty Z, and Barracudas. And we ended up with 42 participating consumers. On these maps, you can see kind of where they were mostly from. Not surprisingly, a lot of them were clustered in the Coconut Grove area, but we had some as far north as Sunny Isles, and as south as Pinecrest. So a little bit of the feedback from consumers. It was actually, so just as a whole, we were really surprised with the positive feedback that we received both from consumers and businesses. So I'll just read this. But I'm so tired of creating needless waste whenever I order takeout. This program is the most exciting economic development I've been a part of while in the Grove. I will definitely order more takeout from my favorite restaurants if they are using reusable containers. I would love to see more proactive action like this from businesses in the area. Promise to support with my wallet. Thank you so much for running this pilot and excited for what's to come. Another consumer feedback, because I'm sick of full trash cans and oceans full of plastic, because I choose not to consume takeout food because it is typically packaged in plastic. That is not only bad for the environment, but toxic to my body, especially when heated. Gross, because I vote with my actions and I want to be the change I hope to see in the world. So that was just a couple of kind of freelance consumer feedback. But in general, we took surveys from everyone that participated, and 81% of the consumers said they would frequent a business more often if they used waste reducing products. 94% of consumers returned their containers in person to the business, which this was actually important because you'll see with the business feedback, by returning them in person, they're getting that consumer back in the door again. And then 100% of consumers said they would speak to others about this initiative. Mind you, this was a group of people that probably were already pretty stoked about reuse, but it was a pilot. So business feedback. This is some open feedback we got. It's a hack. Someone is going to have to come to your restaurant to return it and then maybe order again. So that kind of plays into what we were talking about earlier. So businesses liked this because they were like, they have to drop their container back off. Maybe they'll order something else when they're here. Then we are a big neighborhood restaurant, very Grove oriented. Having the bid involved in this is huge. We love to lean in for the community. So again, I think having the business improvement district was a good partnership, and there are business improvement districts in many different communities. So that can be something that can be leveraged in other areas. So the business feedback, 100% of the businesses were satisfied with the onboarding process. 100% of the businesses were interested in continuing the reusable to go program. And 86% of the businesses were likely to recommend the program to another business. So that felt like it had a lot of legs. It was very exciting. We also, with social media and newsletter, we had over 270 engagements on the launch Instagram post for our reusable to go container program pilot, which for us, I know others on here can be like crazy influencers, but for us, that was really good. So it seemed like, wow, this is really something that excites the community. Also, our newsletter rate opened by 15%, went up by 15% from 25% to 40% when people saw that there was a reusable to go announcement. So I feel like that's another indicator of, the enthusiasm that there exists here. That being said, definitely challenges. So I'd say probably the biggest hurdle, and something that, we can kind of all put our brains together on, is it's difficult for reusable businesses to create profit and manage logistics with many small accounts. So essentially, Bekko Box was not able to develop a profitable model based on just small mom and pop operations. The staff at some of the restaurants that were participating were handing out the reusable to go ware to customers as like a free giveaway sometimes, instead of actually packaging the food in the container, which was like, just demonstrated the education that needs to go into everything, that it's not just some free giveaway, but this is actually the new logistical process of giving food to people. There also was no option for delivery. And in general, there was just overall confusion from consumers and businesses on how to effectuate the pickup and return of the containers. The app was not integrated into any existing restaurant point of sale systems. So building on that, some lessons learned. it really requires reusable to go container businesses need to have like a very large account or many small accounts to get started and stay afloat. So it may be best to start with closed loop systems and expand to open loop. We've spoken with a group named Perpetual that's running 5 different open loop pilots in different cities around America. And they also kind of came to that realization that in order to get a reusable to go business in your city, you need to make it economically sustainable for them. And the way to do that is by providing them with opportunities for some of these like big accounts, like what we talked about at the beginning, you know, a conference center, a stadium. So they have like they have their bread and butter, and then to expand beyond that into the more small mom and pop things would be added value. But just starting with that might be really difficult. Open loop also may start best in a relatively distinct community area. So for example, like Lincoln Road, Coconut Grove, Coral Way, downtown Doral. Just thinking of a couple examples where educational campaigns can be really tailored and targeted since there is such an educational barrier. It's a whole new way of people to learn how to do things, both on the business side and the consumer side. So you need very clear instructions on how to participate for both consumers and businesses, either as videos or infographics, probably shared over many different methods of communication. And then the reusable service app really needs to be integrated with an existing point of sale system. So like Toast, Square, etc. That was really challenging because when you go on your app, like Uber Eats, or when you're ordering at a restaurant, it's going through their point of sale. It's easy for them, for the business, for accounting purposes. It's easy for you for ordering. Since this was outside of that, you had to almost order through an external app that was linked, and it was extremely complicated and too complicated for consumers and businesses. So that needs to be integrated in some way. So we can, if anyone's got friends at Toast, you know, we can talk to them. And it needs to be compatible with delivery, because that was a big part of to go. A lot of people are getting to go for delivery. And that needs to be brought together. So I'm going to ramble through these ideas to explore and then kind of wrap up here. Because as I mentioned in the beginning, the intention of this was really just to kind of throw it out there and then just hear people's thoughts. So kind of start as a starting place. Like, does anyone have connection to closed loop groups that we could introduce to some big time reusable service providers so we could bring one to Miami? Would really like to get someone here, because without having a reusable service provider here, we can't get this type of system started. Government grants or subsidies for businesses that are willing to do this. You know, thinking about different sustainable mechanisms for incentivizing long-term customer and business use, like a loyalty program, discounts or free products. Maybe they're from like-minded partner companies. Maybe they're from the restaurants themselves, a membership program. And how do we ensure that there is equity in this as well moving forward? So on that note, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. And appreciate all of you spending your time trying to make Miami zero waste. We can do this. And yeah, that's it.